Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathy Hazel Adams. Thank you for joining me today. I want to talk with you today about a story that you may have come across already on YouTube. It's called the Lamp story. It just came to my attention yesterday, and what this all has to do with is parallel realities, parallel universes, your probable lifetimes. So that's what I want to talk with you about today. I'll start by giving you a quick version of the Lamp story, tell you where you can find it, and then we'll go on from there and talk about what it all means and what it means for you and me. And as always, if you like this kind of material, find it helpful, please remember to like and subscribe the video. I'm trying to build the channel to 1,000 followers because very honestly, it's more fulfilling to me to create these videos if I know people are actually finding them and using the information that I share. Anyway, back to the Lamp story. First of all, I'll tell you where I found it on YouTube. I found it on the channel Chris Williamson, and the video is entitled "Why This True Story Disturbed So Many People, Mr. Ballin." And if you're not familiar with Mr. Ballin, he's an ex-military and he's a very good storyteller, and that's what his entire channel is to tell supposedly true stories of things that have happened to military people, all to do with the spiritual, the otherworldly, the other dimensional. And so it's Mr. Ballin, M-R-B as in boy, A-L-L-E-N, with no spaces. So that's the title of the video. And Chris Williamson interviewed Mr. Ballin, who shared this story on his own channel. And the story in a nutshell is this. There's a young man who's in college, attends classes with a pretty girl that he is so in love with, and finally works up the courage to ask her out. They get married. They both have jobs that they love. They have 2 children. They buy a house. They're having this entire wonderful life together. He's living this life with her, and it's the whole long drawn out life. And a few years down the road, they've had a couple of kids. The wife and children are out of the house for whatever reason, and he's at home watching a football game on television. And as he's sitting there after a while, he glances over and notices that this lamp on a table near him across the room, that the bottom of the lamp is blurry. Everything else in the room is clear, the TV is clear, the top of the lamp is clear, but the bottom of the lamp is blurry. So of course he rubs his eyes and you know, whatever. And for whatever reason, he decides to not worry about it, and he goes back to watching the football game. So later on, this happens again and again, evidently. You can read the whole story for yourself. And it is supposedly true. Later on, he glances over, and now the lamp is still blurry. The bottom is still blurry, but the lamp is actually upside down. Now, as Mr. Ballin says, why this man didn't think, you know, I think I might be having a stroke or something. Maybe I better call the doctor, you know, whatever, call 911. But he didn't. And eventually, the wife and kids come home, and I don't really know what happens from there. He starts telling her what he's seen. However, all of a sudden, he finds himself laying down on the ground with lots of people around him. He's just laying there, and all these people are staring at him. And a policeman is picking him up and carrying him to the squad car and putting him in the back of the squad car. And the policeman is saying, "Son, you've had a bad bump on the head. I'm taking you to the hospital." And whatever the story is there of how he got the bump. But the point and the end of the story is this young man was still in college, had a bad head bump, lived this entire other life with a wife he loved so much, a job he loved so much. They had children. He lived this whole life in the space of a few minutes. And then woke up to find himself in this reality where he's still, whatever, a freshman in college and, you know, is not dating that girl and all of those kinds of things. And again, it's supposedly a true story. He's in therapy for it because he's grieving the loss of his beloved family that Mr. Ballin says never existed. It was just all in his mind. And of course, you know where I'm going with this. No, it wasn't all in his mind. He experienced one of the few times where you can actually see probable lifetimes split, probable timelines. Usually, as my teacher Seth said, it's very seamless. You don't realize you've shifted lifetimes or timelines, and on you go. But in this case, he experienced the actual fork in the road. We have to remember, there is no such thing as time. Physics has proven that over and over again. We experience things linearly, and it plays to us as time because we experience things in what is to us a chronological order. But all of our possible and probable versions of ourselves, all of our possible probable experiences exist in the infinite now, in the mind of God. It is an infinite present. Everything exists in the current moment and is happening in the infinite now. All the possible versions exist. They're all there to vibrate with. And that's why we can so quickly and easily switch timelines and actually move on to a timeline that's got a different, better past or a different future than the one we were headed for. That's why many of us, not all, have experiences where you actually die in one version of your lifetime, but immediately are living on in an alternate probable version of your lifetime where you survived the accident or you survived the illness and you continue to live. And I shared my own experience with that in a video I just posted here within the last week or two, the one about volcanoes, earthquakes, mass deaths, why people are leaving right now. There is no death. I told my own story in that one, but there are lots of stories. For instance, one that occurred right in a Bashar group event where a lady got up and said, hi Bashar, I had an experience where I fell down a flight of stairs and I should have been dead. And he said, you did die. You did die. She just immediately went on to have survived that accident, and now she's in a different probable version of how her timeline goes forward. It happens all the time. We're just not aware of it, usually. But we exist simultaneously in all of our possibilities. Seth said that in this system where we're wired to handle one focused perspective of reality at a time, we can't really handle consciously more than one at a time. But he said there are systems where consciousnesses like ours are built to handle 6 probable lifetimes at a time. So you're consciously living 6 different versions of a lifetime or 6 different lifetimes. Again, we have to remember that we are multidimensional. We are the God consciousness, and in our oversoul, we hold all of our incarnations and all of our possible lifetimes, incarnations, and all of the probable versions of those lifetimes and incarnations with all of their timelines. We are all of it. You are all of your possibilities or probabilities. And I've said this before. Probabilities are incipient possibilities. They're not just theoretically possible. They're actual versions of what you could be doing, living, experiencing that all exist vibrationally, simultaneously within your multidimensional self. And you, in your highest consciousness level, hold all of them. You're just focused in this one with me right here, right now, in this lifetime as you know it. And this is becoming more and more apparent to us as individuals and then out in the mainstream. Chase Hughes, I don't know if you know who that is, but he's an ex-Navy veteran who specialized in intelligence, behavior, interrogation, psyops. He's the expert in that. He's written a couple of books. He has a channel, and he works and has worked with consciousness and manipulating consciousness and how consciousness manipulates its own reality and can be manipulated. That's kind of where he goes. So I don't watch a lot of him because it kind of goes a little bit down of a dark path, but it's good to know about how easy it is to manipulate people's beliefs, emotions, and consciousness around certain issues and manipulate people and populations is what he gets at. But in any case, that's where he lives in this psychology and consciousness world. He has a brain disease. I don't now remember what it is. He tells the story of how he found out he had a brain disease because all of a sudden he found himself living focused in some other lifetime. And I couldn't tell you now what it was. But then he comes back to this lifetime as Chase Hughes, the PsyOps guy. And he said, and there was this woman who was pregnant that she clearly knew him. She was acting like he should be there. And so he smiled and was polite. And they were going to a hospital and she was having a baby. It was his wife. He didn't recognize her. He didn't recognize this life because he had been somewhere else temporarily focused in another lifetime. So he's getting help with that, has gotten some help with that. But what I'm saying is he directly saw how he could be focused in one lifetime and then another one. Which of course isn't surprising given where he goes and where he lives on a minute-to-minute daily basis in his life, which is the endless, infinite mind of God with all of its focal points of experience. One of my own dear friends who started out years ago as a client, but she had an experience where she was not asleep. She was in a meditational state, I don't remember the situation now, where she found herself fully experiencing another lifetime with other people there, other situations going on. And then she came back to this one, and I think it probably sort of startled her a little bit. But there's an example of somebody's consciousness expanding to where they're starting to be able to be aware of other lifetimes. Now, I'm not suggesting that you sit around and play with directly experiencing your other lifetimes. I think a lot of people could get into a lot of trouble with that. That's playing a little too fast and loose if you're not able to be completely and solidly here with a strong ego that really knows who and what it is and where it is. You could tank off into delusion land, and there are plenty of people that could actually get themselves into trouble with mental health and being able to distinguish this reality from the greater reality and other realities. So again, I am not suggesting for 1 second that you sit and play with this, and I am not going to lead guided meditations to do this. What I do want you to be aware of is that you are all of your possibilities. You at your highest level, your oversoul level, you hold all of your lifetimes. You are informed by all of those lifetimes. We can be comfortable knowing that they exist, that we are multidimensional, because as we accept that, understand it, and be comfortable with it, we do start accepting in information and knowledge and wisdom that's fed to us from other parts of ourselves, and we don't have to dismiss it and pick it apart because you didn't read it in a book or on a sign in this reality. You start accepting that you have access to all the wisdom and information in the mind of God as it appears in your oversoul. So it's more about being aware of yourself as an expanded consciousness with all of your possibilities. It's perfectly fine, and I've been aware of other lifetimes, to get little snatches here and there of, oh, I think I have another lifetime where I've lived there or where I've had that experience. Fine, I accept that as part of who I am now. The wisdom, information, and expansion that I gained or am gaining in that other lifetime is directly informing me, and that is just fine. I don't have to go into that other lifetime and directly experience that lifetime. This focus can be very aware that I'm this big and be very comfortable with the fact that I'm also being informed and helped by other parts of myself in other lifetimes. You exist as your multidimensional, eternal, absolute self in all of your possible versions, all of your possible lifetimes. And as Seth said, you are as dead now as you will ever be, because you are source consciousness. You do not end. There is no death. So I hope you'll go back and take a look at the last couple of videos I actually posted. It's kind of all circling around this topic about the mass deaths, why people are leaving right now. And there's another one right before that in which I'm talking about what happens when we die. And on that note, if you like these videos and don't want to wait for me to post the next one, please go back through all the videos I've already posted. My videos are not date time sensitive. This is information that I have gained through meditation, direct knowledge given through channeled guidance for years and continue to receive every morning. So all of the videos contain things that you may find very, very helpful to your own expansion and ascension and your own ability to create the life that you want. So please click like and subscribe if you want to help me get the channel up to 1,000 subscribers. And if you want to give me some extra support, please consider joining my Patreon community, Kathy Hazel Adams, Quantum Spirit. You can donate as little as $2 or $5 a month. Every dollar is appreciated and is helpful. Or you can join as a full member and attend the monthly meditations and spirit talks that I do, have access to the full library of recordings of those, and enjoy a discount on my workshops and my private transformational healing sessions. Thank you for watching today. Have a magical weekend.